Hey guys, so today I'm here with the Barricade HD Rear Bumper, fitting all 2016 and newer Toyota Tacomas. So adding a bumper to your truck, especially a heavy-duty rear bumper, is going to offer you a number of different benefits, and this option by Barricade is going to be one of your most cost-effective ways to do so. So this is going to offer you full rear end protection made of a heavy-duty steel construction, perfect if you're taking your truck out on the trail and you're worried about damage to your rear end or even on the street from any fender benders. Now, this is going to stick out a little bit farther, and I do like that about this design because it is going to offer you some extra protection to your tailgate as well as your taillights on either side. Now, I do also like the fact that this is compatible with your factory backup sensors, your factory tow hitch, as well as your hitch plug, and this will have cutouts for all of those. Now, you don't have to switch over your factory backup sensors. There are plugs that are included in the kit to create a very clean look. Some rear bumpers on the page are only going to come with those cutouts or pre-drilled holes for those factory backup sensors, but a lot of those are not going to have a cutout for that hitch plug, which is definitely very useful if you're utilizing your tow hitch. Now, I do also like the fact that this does have a cutout in the center here. Some other options on the page, even more expensive choices, will not have this cutout, and I do really think that that's a really good feature out of this bumper because this is going to offer you all of that bed access when your tailgate is up. So I do also like the fact that this comes with cutouts on either side. Now, these do have mounts inside of those ready to mount up any accessory lighting if you're looking for a little bit of extra visibility out of the rear end of your Tacoma. Now, if you don't want to add those, that's completely fine. There are honeycomb back plates in there to add a little bit of style. Now, what I would have liked to see out of this rear bumper is just a couple of recovery points, maybe 2 welded D-ring mounts on either side, just in case you get yourself into a sticky situation on the trail. The factory tow hitch can be used as a recovery point. However, more expensive options will usually integrate those recovery points or even a little bit more to their design, upping that price point. Now, overall, I do really think for the features as well as the fitment of this rear bumper that this is set at a very good price at around $500, and I do really think that you're getting the most out of that price point. So overall, I do really think that this is going to add a very aggressive and heavy-duty look to the rear end of your truck, and it is going to have an upgraded look in comparison to your factory plastics. So install is going to be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. You are going to have to do some very basic wiring, but I will walk you through that in just a minute. So you're going to need some basic hand tools and probably 2 hours worth of your time. So speaking of the install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for my install were an impact wrench, a 12mm and 18mm shallow socket, an Allen key, a Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of pliers, a pair of wire cutters, strippers, and crimpers, a flathead screwdriver, a 3/8" drive ratchet, a 19mm open-ended or box wrench, and a trim removal tool. So the first step to taking off our rear bumper is to take off our license plate. Now, I'm going to be using a Phillips head screwdriver, but it will depend on what hardware is holding in your license plate. So now we can head underneath the Tacoma, and we do need to unplug our wiring harnesses for our license plate light. So I just have a flathead screwdriver here to help me depress this clip since it is not that easily accessible. So once that clip is depressed, we can pull back and unplug that wiring harness. All right, and then we can do the same thing for the other side. So while we're underneath here, we do need to disconnect our hitch plug. There is going to be a main wiring harness. All you have to do is depress the clip on the top and pull back. So while we're here, we're also going to disconnect this wiring harness that's connected our bumper to our frame here or our tub. So what I'm going to do is just depress that clip and pull back. So then we can take out our hitch plug. There are going to be 2 metal tabs that are holding this into the bumper. So all we have to do is just push those up and forward, and then the hitch plug will come out the front of our bumper. We just have to pinch those down, kind of wiggle it out the front. So once it's unclipped, it should pull out of the bumper just like that. So So the last thing we have to do underneath here for right now is remove the 2 inner clips. I'm going to be using a trim removal tool. You can just wedge it in between, pull that down, and pop that out. And we can do the same thing for the other inner clip. So the last clip that we have to remove is right in the middle where we took off our license plate. The license plate light housing also has to come out in order for us to get this trim piece off. So you will need a flathead screwdriver, and we're going to head back underneath the Tacoma. So on either side of the light housing, there's going to be a clip that's holding it into the bumper, just like our tow hitch wiring harness. So what I'm going to do is just to press that clip and move it forward. So once you have one clipped through, the other one should be pretty easy, and then you can wiggle that. So once those clips are through, we can pull it out of the front of the bumper just like we did with our tow hitch. Then we can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can remove the 10 bolts that are holding our bumper to our frame. So on either side, you're gonna have 2 bolts in the middle that we have to remove. Then on the inside where our license plate was sitting, we have 2 bolts on the frame down there. And then underneath on either side, you're gonna have 2 more. So you're gonna need a 12mm socket and an impact wrench or a hand ratchet, and we can remove all 10 bolts. So after all those bolts are removed, we can go ahead and remove our bumper. So before we go ahead and install our new rear bumper, I did want to tell you guys a little bit more about it, especially in comparison to our factory rear bumper. So right off the bat, you can tell this is made of a steel construction. This is going to hold up a lot better and be a lot more durable than your factory plastic rear bumper made of a 3mm plate steel. This is also going to have a 2-stage black textured powder coat finish on top, and that's going to protect the steel underneath from any rust or corrosion. What it's also going to do is create a more aggressive off-road and utilitarian look to the rear end of your Tacoma. Now there are a couple of different features that you are carrying over from your factory bumper, but there are also a couple of features that your factory bumper is unable to offer you. So right off the bat, you are able to carry over those factory backup sensors. Our factory rear bumper does not have those. However, if you do have those and you're looking to keep them, you can switch them over. But if you don't have them and you're not looking to keep them, Barricade does provide you with a couple of plugs to plug up those holes. So you are also able to keep your factory hitch plug. There is a location on the new bumper in the factory location where you are able to switch that over, and this rear bumper is compatible with the factory hitch. Now you are also getting a license plate light in this kit. Since we are deleting the ones that came out of our factory bumper, we won't be able to switch those over. So I do like the fact that Barricade includes that in the package. Now you are also getting a couple of key benefits out of this new bumper that your factory rear bumper was unable to offer you. You're getting 2 cutouts on the side, and those are going to have a honeycomb backplating. That's going to add a little bit of style to the rear end of your Tacoma, but they also have mounts on either side inside those cutouts, so you can add any accessory lighting down the road if you choose to do so. Now this is also going to come with a rib surface in the cutout, so you do get a little bit of extra traction if you are hopping up into the back of your Tacoma on those wetter days, and overall it's just going to look a lot better than the factory plastics with that off-road, aggressive, and utilitarian look. So enough about these 2 bumpers side by side. Let's go mount up our new one. So before we mount up our bumper, I wanted to make sure that there was enough room to work with so we can wire in our license plate light for our new bumper. Now there's a number of different ways that you can do this. You can tap into the taillights, you can tap into wiring harnesses that are underneath the bed of your truck. But what I'm gonna do is tap into our tow hitch plug wiring harness. So again, there's a number of different ways to do this. I am gonna use some vampire clips that are compatible with spade connectors. So if in the future we have to take off our bumper, we can quickly disconnect them. Now, if you are looking for a more permanent solution, you can use some butt connectors and and I would recommend to put heat shrink on them, electrical tape, as well as some sheathing just to keep them protected from the elements. So what I'm going to do is tap into the running light. That's going to be our green wire. I took a test light and made sure that this is our running light, so whenever your running lights are on, your license plate light will be on as well, and then we can tap into the ground as well. So you are going to need a pair of wire cutters, strippers, and crimpers, and then we can go ahead and wire these up. So what I'm going to do is take our vampire clip with the spade connector down at the bottom and clamp it onto our running light wire first. That's going to be this green wire. You can find these at your local hardware store, any automotive shop, and then just going to clamp that on, making sure that it's a little bit up the wire. And clamp it down with a pair of pliers. And just make sure that wire is spliced into. And we can do the same thing for the ground. So once both of those are on, we can move on to putting a spade connector on our license plate light. So what we can do is take our light that's provided by Barricade, strip the ends of the wires. They're going to have a positive and a negative lead. Then we can grab our spade connector. You could also find these at a hardware store. Once that is set in place, we can take a pair of wire crimpers and crimp that down. All right, then we can do the same thing for the negative lead. So after we've prepared all of our wiring, I would recommend to grab a friend and we can go ahead and mount up our rear bumper. So it is going to sit on the frame, and then we can go underneath and attach all of our hardware. So if you don't have the factory hitch, then you will be using the brackets that Barricade provides. You're going to have 3 attachment points on the frame, and you're going to attach that bracket with the frame bolts on the side here. Now, if you do have the factory hitch like we do, you're just going to utilize those 3 attachment points on the frame down at the bottom. Now we're going to grab the factory hardware and start with these 2 bolt holes down here. I'm going to be using the smaller washer for the bottom and sticking that bolt up on through. Then we can grab our larger washer, place that on top, and then grab our nylon lock nut, secure that down. Now we want to make sure that we have all of our hardware threaded on and in place before we go ahead and tighten anything down. So we're going to do the same process with that second bolt hole on the bottom. So above those 2 bottom bolts, we do have another bolt that's going to cross through the frame. You're going to take the same hardware, except for you're using 2 large washers for this one up here. We're going to place that large washer on the back like that, and then we'll take our nylon lock nut and secure that down. Now again, we want to get the other side attached, and then we'll tighten everything down. So we can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can go ahead and tighten everything up. The bolt head is going to be an 18 millimeter, and then the nut is going to be a 19. I'm going to use an 18 millimeter socket for the bolt head and a 19 millimeter open-ended wrench and box wrench for the other side. We can do the same thing for the top bolt, but I'm going to be using a hand ratchet for the top bolt just because we don't have a lot of room to work with. And we can do the same thing for the other side. So after our bumper is mounted up, we have a couple more things that we have to attach. We have our hitch plug. We have our plugs for our backup sensor, since we do not have backup sensors on our Tacoma from the factory. If you are using your backup sensors, you can use the Allen head bolts that are provided in the kit and clamp those in each hole. Then we have 2 retainers for our license plate hardware, and then we have our license plate light that we had already wired up and we're just going to connect. So what I'm going to do is start with our backup sensor plugs. So what you have to do is take your plug and reach around the back of the bumper. You can do this with it off. I just wanted to leave everything that we have to attach for the end, and it's not that hard to access them anyway. So you just have to slide the plug into place and get that into the hole on the outside. Then we can make sure that it's flush. Then we can move on to the next one. So what we can do next is plug in our hitch plug. So all we have to do is just push that on back, and those clips should clip that on. Then we can move to our hardware for our license plate. These are just going to click inside those holes there. And then we can grab our license plate light and route our wires back through. So after those are routed through, we can just press that into place. This is going to have retainer clips on the outside, and that's going to keep it in place like that. Now we can head underneath our rear bumper and plug everything in. So now that we're underneath, we just have to plug in our connectors for our license plate light. So the black wire, your negative wire, is going to go into that black spade connector vampire clip. Then the red wire, your positive for your lights, is going to go into the green clip for your running lights. And then we can plug in our hitch plug wiring harness. So our last step is to mount up our license plate. Now we are using new hardware because these retainers did not allow the factory hardware to be installed. So I'm just using a button head screw. You can outsource for this. And then I'm just going to secure it down with an Allen key. So your factory hardware might fit. Mine was a little too big for these retainers. It's very easy to outsource. So after your license plate is attached, then you're all set to go. So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe, and for more videos and products like this, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.